I'm sort of laughing to myself. When I was making my video plans for the month of June, I had not anticipated doing a knitting needle series, but here we are. We made sort of a joke when I was talking about the Addy Crazy Lace Snakes Crazy Snake Lace needles, that some of us that use thinner needles to knit socks with tend to put a bend in them by accident and by having a death grip. And what I found I was doing, I was at an event recently, and I usually have a sock in my purse so that I don't fidget during any events that I go to. And I was just beating the crap out of my bamboo needles. I was splitting the tips, I was bending them, they were terrible. So I wanted to try a metal knitting needle in the size 2.5 millimeter, which is the size I was using for this pair of socks. And I found these at the yarn store. So these were purchased, not sponsored or comped. And they're from Lykke. And Cypra, who knows? But they're copper, and there were 5 in a set. Now the first thing I'm noticing about them, they're pretty heavy. They're heavier than a bamboo needle. That does not bother me. It might bother you. That's up to you. They have a decent tip on them. They have a nice little point there. And if you like a heavy needle, the price point was certainly way lower for these than something like a Signature. And they do have more weight to them than one you would get in the big box store. So I'm going to give these a shot. I'm going to go ahead and cast on the cuff of my sock and put some rounds on it and come back and tell you what I think. Alright, well, I have knit most of the cuff of my sock, and here are some things I have to say. I like the tips. They're nice. I will say it's interesting because a lot of people, when I do these double pointed needle reviews, talk about, oh my god, they have a death grip and they bend the needles. I think you would have a really hard time bending these. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. But it is interesting to me because I feel like it's changing my grip a little bit. Clearly my gauge is not affected. Everything looks nice. So I don't think you could bend these as easily as you could some of the smaller size needles that you might get at the big box store. One other thing I noticed is on the back of the package it says, if you love the natural charm of copper toning like we do, then sit back as Mother Nature works her beauty onto your Cypra or Cypra needles. If you prefer to maintain that untouched look, consider polishing your needles to taste using your preferred copper cleaning product or technique. So I wonder if these are going to oxidize, and if it doesn't rub off my yarn, I don't really care if they do. I would say, especially if you're using a light yarn like I am here, maybe don't leave these on the needles for 100 years. You know what I mean? How sometimes we put projects away and then come back to them weeks or days or months or years later. I don't know that I would do that with copper needles, but I'm going to be 100% honest. I have not had these out of the package long enough for anything to happen to them. So I would be okay personally if they darken a little because they're real copper. My only issue would be is if it transferred to the yarn, and I don't know if that would happen or not. So 2 thumbs up. If you're a fan of Signature needles, you might like these a lot. They feel similar to me. They're not quite as heavy. They're not quite as pointy, or they're close, but they're also not nearly as expensive. So I would say give these guys a shot if you're interested in a heavier weight metal double pointed needle.